Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Sunday, June the 1st. Yes, another month down. First day of winter. Geez, you wouldn't know it. It is absolutely stunning this morning. The sun is out. It's always obviously a little bit cool, but sun is out and it is just a beautiful, beautiful morning. Not sure what the temperature is, but very pleasant indeed. All right, on this day, plenty going on in the boxing world at the moment, by the way. Fight week for Tyson and Tszyu and a few other things. But on this day, 1963, Willie Pastrana defeated Harold Johnson over 15 rounds in Las Vegas for the world light heavyweight title. In 1966, Japan's Masahiko Harada defeated Brazil's Eder Joffre in Tokyo, Japan. That was for the world bantamweight title. In 1984, Mexico's Gabriel Bernal knocked out Frenchman Antoine Montero in 11 rounds in France for the world flyweight title. In 1991, I remember this one well, Terry Norris, he'd just come off the win over Sugar Ray Leonard from memory. He knocked out Donald Curry in 8 rounds in California, Palm Springs, to defend his super welterweight title. In 1996, the great Azuma Nelson defended his world super featherweight title with a knockout of Jesse James Leija in 6 rounds. That was in Las Vegas. And in 2019, Callum Smith knocked out Hassan, I can't pronounce that name, in 3 rounds in New York. That was for the WBC. Well, that was only for a diamond belt. What are we doing there? Shouldn't be mentioning that, should we? And also on this day, in... what was it? What year? I did see that. April. All right. Andy Ruiz defeated Anthony Joshua to become the first Mexican heavyweight champion. Just let me grab Neil here because we've got people coming. Gets a bit excited. So, morning. So that was the massive upset in 2019. Andy Ruiz with that win over Joshua, and probably started the downward spiral of Joshua, didn't he, really, after that? Because he was never really the same. I know he did beat Ruiz in the rematch, but it was a very uneventful fight. And obviously after that, he'd suffer losses to Usyk, and then his last fight against Dubois as well. So that was on this day over the years. Jeez, I'm just regretting putting on this jacket now, actually. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's actually quite warm. So I sort of didn't check it this morning and put the hoodie on and the jacket on, and sweating a bit at the moment. But anyway, let's move on. It is fight week. Jaya Pataya, Claudio Tszyu. Well, it is technically fight week. It's on Sunday next week. So being Sunday today, we'll call it fight week anyway. But make sure you get the pay-per-view. I'll go through the event a little more closely during the week with the fight week festivities. I think it kicks off on Wednesday. All the official stuff, but the pay-per-view is $49.99, so make sure you support it. I know it's not, Tszyu is not exactly David Benavidez, but look, the whole card is going to be quite good. Mick Francis doing his best to really give people great fight cards, and obviously having Jaya Pataya fight in Australia. Who knows how long it's going to be before he's not fighting in Australia anymore, but yeah, get behind. I was up there in January, and it was just a fantastic week. It really was. Obviously the fight night, but just being welcomed in up there by Mick and Fran into the fold up there with the social media stuff. I can't get to this one, unfortunately. I've got to be going on myself, but we'll definitely get up to the next one if there is a next one. Hopefully there is, because as I said, who knows how long it's going to be before he fights, or if he does fight in Australia again with all the big fights coming up. But if you're up that way, make sure you get to the fight. I think all the tables are sold out, but there's still some generals up there. But definitely get it on pay-per-view. I know $50 is $50, but as I said, Mick always puts a lot of work into his cards. And even though Tszyu, as I said, is not Benavidez, there's some really good fights on the undercard. So just support Australian boxing. All right, what else is happening? Speaking of Australian boxing, Tszyu, I saw a a bit of an interview with him yesterday, talking about the first time he sparred Manny Pacquiao. Was over there in LA at the moment. Is it LA, Vegas, wherever? He's over there anyway. He's about to do his little mini promotional tour for the event, the worst kept secret in boxing, of course. It was officially announced yesterday. I think the press conference is the 2nd, so it'll be tomorrow, but that's LA time, so it'll be Tuesday for us. Tim was sort of speaking of, he went to, what did he say? He went to the Pacquiao Cotto fight back in 2009, and he was up in the crowd in the stands, and he yelled out to Manny, and Manny looked back and gave him a bit of a wave, and he thought that was the greatest thing ever. And then 10 years later, he was called in as a sparring partner for when Manny was fighting Keith Thurman. That's ironic, isn't it, too, considering a little bit of the history between Tim and Thurman. Hopefully they'll fight down the track. And he got the call up, and I think Tim was about to fight the late Dwight Ritchie, and went over to the Philippines. I think it was the Philippines, wherever it was anyway, and was training with Manny. And he said the first time he sparred with him was pretty surreal. It is ironic as well too that 2 years earlier Manny had actually lost to Jeff Horn, and Tim would beat Jeff Horn the year after Manny and Tim would spar. It all sort of works in together, doesn't it? But he said they had a really good spars, and it wasn't a war or anything like that. It was just two guys. I think because what a lot of people tend to forget when these elite fighters spar, it's not like sometimes you see here in Australia or just other countries where people just get in there and it's like a fight. They just get in there and fight. Fighters like Manny, they work on things. They're working on different scenarios in the fight. They'll box around. They'll maybe get in close for a round. They'll move around the ring for a round. They might not even throw a punch for a round. They might just work on defence. So lots of things they work on, and that's the beauty of sometimes getting into the gyms and seeing the elite fighters really train and spar, because it's not just all conditioning and hard work. It's tactics and all that sort of stuff as well. But it was interesting to hear from Tim and what he had to say. And now, of course, they're on the main card together. Manny will be the main event, Tim the co-main. And Tim also said he hadn't spoken to Sebastian Fundora in the 14 months since their fight, and he said it was just a little bit surreal to sort of be face to face with them again, and they'll get very close over the next week with all the arrangements and schedule they've got to keep to. So so it should be good. I think tickets go on sale on Wednesday, so I'll be definitely checking that out. But it's all happening. Tim's got an opportunity to right the wrongs and get his career back on track. So let's hope he can do it, but it won't be easy, I can assure you, because Sebastian Fundora, I've got a feeling, is going to be. We understand Tim's going to be better. Well, I would hope he's going to be better because you'll be able to see this time. So that's probably one thing. But I've got no doubt that Sebastian Fundora will be 25% better as well. So everyone expecting 100% Tim this time just to walk through Fundora. Just don't get caught up in what happened in 2 rounds of boxing when they fought. Because Sebastian Fundora, I know he's only had the one fight since, but it's amazing what can happen when you've been through a fight like that and you are the champion, how sort of taller you grow. And he's had a year of, a lot of training and been putting into his style and everything else as well. So don't expect the same Fundora to walk in the ring, just as we don't expect the same Tim to walk in the ring, obviously. So look, I still think Tim can get the job done, but I'm just not subscribing to everyone saying, oh, well, look what happened in the first 2 rounds last time. Tim lit him up. Is this going to be a walkover? No. I still think Tim will win, but I think it's going to be just as hard a fight as the first one, without the blood, hopefully. But I just think this time it's going to be hard. Last time was obviously the duress he was under with the blood. This time I just think he's going to be up against a very good fighter, and he's going to have to work his way through it. So let's hope he can get the job done on July the 19th. All right, what else is happening? Canelo Crawford. Oh, right, yes. I've just made a note to mention Canelo Crawford because the fight is still in limbo somewhat. Now, a little bit of a spanner in the works with what's happening at the moment is that apparently the UFC Noche is... Well, it's not in danger of being cancelled, but it's in danger of being really watered down. Now, what's apparently going to happen, where it was going to be in Mexico, it was going to be the same night, of course, and that's why apparently Dana White walked away, or was told to walk away from the event, because it was going to be the same night as the Canelo Crawford fight. So he was told to walk away, or he did walk away, because it was switched from the Friday to the Saturday. And I don't know how he was still going to do it anyway, but apparently what was supposed to happen is that Canelo Crawford would be on the Friday night, and then the UFC Noche would be on the Saturday night. I still don't know how you're supposed to, as good as Dana White has been in his promotions, how you're supposed to promote two mega events like that back to back. So, but anyway, that was apparently the reason. When Turkey switched it to the Saturday night, that's when Dana White allegedly walked away. So now what's happening is the stadium in Mexico where UFC Noche is not ready. It was not going to be ready for the event. So now they're talking about shifting that, and maybe even shifting the date, or maybe putting it in the US is another option as well. What else did they say? But that would allow Dana White to then come back and promote Canelo Crawford. It's all a bit of a mess at the moment, but excuse me, that's a little bit fresh. But when you think about it, we've got the biggest fight in how long? Is it the biggest? I was just about to say the biggest fight in 10 years since Mayweather Pacquiao, but is it even as big as maybe Fury Usyk? I don't know. Let's just say the biggest fight, one of the biggest fights in the last 10 years since Mayweather Pacquiao. But at the moment, we haven't got a promoter, because Turki Al-Sheikh hasn't actually got his promoter's license, of course. He goes through other people. I know it was the other, is it Sealer or Sek or whatever the hell it was called, the other mob involved. They've sort of gone silent on it as well, but he hasn't got a US-based promoter. He hasn't got a site at the moment. There's been no venue announced, and all we've got is really a date. So what are we? It's the start of June. Now, what are we? We've still got 3 months, so there is time, but there's a lot of events that fill up all the best venues around the country. So, and they get in pretty quick. So the scary thing is, though, is that Turki Al-Sheikh has said, this is apparently what he said, is that if they can't work it out in America, they will take the fight to Saudi Arabia. That's what we don't want. So I'm hoping that they can sort this out, because as I said, at the moment, there's no official anything 3 months out. So I know, again, we've got time, but when you think that they can't have Allegiant Stadium, because that's tied up with the football, so they do it in Vegas, it will most likely have to be at T-Mobile. I'm not sure whether there was an event. No, I'm thinking of the Pacquiao and Tszyu doubleheader that Lady Gaga was there, so they couldn't do it at T-Mobile. I think they can do it at T-Mobile, but geez, I'll have to get in quick. And if it's not there, it's the MGM. And what happens is, though, of course, as the venues sort of get changed around, and maybe they are in smaller venues, the ticket prices go up, and it just puts the whole event sort of not in jeopardy, but it just mucks a lot of people around. Because if it's in Allegiant Stadium, the tickets will be very, very reasonably priced, you would expect. If it goes to T-Mobile Arena, you can expect the prices to be at least double of what they would be at Allegiant. So not ideal, but the biggest event in their eyes anyway, since Mayweather Pacquiao. And again, in their eyes, I actually think it'll be bigger than Mayweather Pacquiao. No way in hell it's bigger than Mayweather Pacquiao. I think it does about a third of the pay-per-views, if I'm being honest, if that, if they're lucky. And the only reason I'll get 65,000 there is probably because they'll price it accordingly. But anyway, a lot of water to go under the bridge at the moment. But at the moment, there is not much happening as far as Canelo Crawford goes. We're all getting excited about the fight, but at the moment, nothing is locked in. So we'll see what happens there. Now, there was word over the weekend that that maybe Tyson Fury, we always seem to talk about Tyson Fury, may come back to boxing if Daniel Dubois beats Alexander Usyk. Apparently, he's under no illusions. He's not going to get a third Usyk fight. So there has been whispers that if Dubois wins the fight, you may well see Tyson Fury come out of retirement and challenge Daniel Dubois. Then you would probably see Anthony Joshua after that. I mean, again, it's almost, we're just going round and round in circles, I know, with someone like Tyson Fury, and it gets a little bit frustrating sometimes when he teases. I mean, we all love the Gypsy King, But I think we've all had enough of his playing games, because last week he said he was retiring for good, and now he's saying there's a possibility. Mind you, it wasn't him personally saying it, it was just apparently associates of associates or whatever, saying that he has got in mind if Dubois upsets Usyk, that you could see the Gypsy King back to fight Dubois, and if he beats Dubois, that's when the Joshua fight might happen, because you wouldn't have thought that Joshua was going to get another shot at Dubois, though he would probably put up his hand. But the way he was knocked out conclusively, I'm not sure the fans are going to be pushing for a rematch of that fight. It's not like Fury and Usyk where it was close. The Joshua and Ruiz fights where they went the distance, all that sort of stuff. The fact that he was knocked out clean by Dubois, I'm just not sure whether the demand's going to be there for Joshua and Dubois too. I think if anything, people would love to see Dubois up against Fury. And as I said, if Fury can win that, then he would fight Joshua after that. But I don't know. Again, we're all just guessing, and it gets a little bit frustrating after a while, doesn't it? When he teases and then he pulls it back, and he teases and he pulls it back. I'm not going to get excited about anything until I actually see it in writing or announced. It's actually when he's sitting at a press conference announcing the fight, it's the only time I'll believe that. Now, speaking of Usyk, now I hope this is not right. Other sources are claiming that Usyk could be considering, wait for it, an MMA cage match with Jake Paul. Now, I laughed it off initially, but there were quotes from Alexander Usyk saying that he didn't start as a boxer, he started as a wrestler. And over in Ukraine, he did wrestling, he did jiu-jitsu, he did all these different things before he took up boxing. And he actually said, this is apparently the quote from Usyk. I did read the quote, but whether it's a made-up quote or whatever, it just said Usyk said that he would be more than up for fighting Jake Paul in the cage. I mean, in one way, I'd love for it to happen just so Usyk could just embarrass this guy. But on the other hand, do we really have to keep giving this guy airtime? I'm a little bit sick of everyone just even mentioning his name. And the last person I would ever think that would even be entertained something like that to take on Jake Paul in anything would be Alexander Usyk. I would think that he's not the circus clown type of fighter, a serious fighter who respects the sport and takes the sport seriously, although we did say that about Canelo as well. And he apparently was in talks right up to the moment he announced the 4-fight deal with Turki Al-Sheikh, that he could fight Jake Paul. And of course, Jake Paul then went on social media and got stuck into Canelo for sort of double crossing him and going with Turki Al-Sheikh. So, please, just don't let it happen. I mean, I was just going to say, hopefully Chavez can maybe get the job done. He's not getting the job done, guys. He's not getting the job done. He's in it for the payday, and that is it. So, but that's what they're talking about. Can you imagine that? Usyk and Jake Paul in the cage doing MMA. I don't even want to imagine it. It's ridiculous. All right, so one last thing is I was just about to say the Munguia situation with the testosterone and everything. The attention has now turned to his trainer and Canelo's trainer, Eddie Reynoso. This is the 4th fighter that's trained under him to be done for this type of thing, including Canelo. Now, it's technically 6. Oscar De La Hoya took great pleasure in pointing this out. Technically 6, but Lewis Neary and who else was it? Someone else, might have been Ryan Garcia actually tested positive after they'd left Reynoso, but they were his fighters and before that. Well, Canelo has been interviewed and really pushed back on the claim, saying that, well, Eddie is just the trainer. He has no input into the supplements and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. Where there's smoke, there's fire, you would think, wouldn't you? I mean, is it just coincidence that he's had 4 fighters and then 2 fighters that have left him as well? So a total of 6 that have been done for the same thing, the same type of drugs. Are they drugs? Are they supplements? I got no idea. I'm not right into that sort of stuff. But either way, it's they've tested positive for banned supplements, we'll call them. So, yeah, is there going to be an investigation into Eddie Reynoso? Maybe there has to be. As I said, Canelo was pretty adamant that he has nothing to do with that side of things. But, yeah, I mean, that's yeah, something that needs to be looked at anyway. But Oscar De La Hoya, as I said, took great pleasure in raising the point to everybody. There's a well, mate. Shouldn't you be locked up there, buddy? Shouldn't you be locked up? All right, one last thing. Just speaking of Oscar, come here, man. He has mentioned that Ryan Garcia may be out for the remainder of 2025. We'll get past this dog. Now, it just makes my mind just spin to think that, I know he's just been out for a year. I know it was based on the ban and all that sort of stuff. He comes back, has one very uneventful fight. Yes, he cops an injury, but Oscar says, yeah, we won't worry about coming back for the rest of the year. We'll just step out. So, and before that, he wasn't overly active either. So is this guy going to let his career just fizzle out? I'm surprised that Oscar hasn't. I understand you got to look after your fighter. He's had a hand injury, get it fixed. But by all reports, it's not bad enough for him to be out for an extended period. So why would he, after being out for a year and having that disappointing loss, why would he be saying, that's all right, Ryan, take another year off? I just don't get it. I would have thought that they'd be trying to get Ryan back. Don't push him straight back into a rematch with Romero or even a fight with Haney. I would be thinking they would be saying, or Oscar would be saying, hey, just get it fixed until you're ready, and let's just get a couple of blowouts, or at least one blowout. Get in there and just get a journeyman, get on an undercard somewhere and just get a win, look impressive, say you're back, and then go for the Romero fight. I just get the impression Ryan had his big moment against Devin Haney. Just from what I saw in that last fight, it just looks like the fire's gone. He's had his moment. He looked disinterested. Maybe he's a little bit up and down with his mood, and you know, a lot of people have ailments these days. But maybe he's just had enough of boxing and has made the money and the fire's not there. I don't know, but geez, how could you possibly trust him going forward with that performance against Romero? He looked totally just not in the fight. So to give him another, when did he fight? May, start of May, wasn't it? So to give him another 7, 8, 9 months off after that performance, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. So let's hope maybe once he gets over the injury, they'll get him in there. I think they need to. I think he needs to get back as quick as he can. As I said, get a blowout and then reboot in 2026 from there. But just my opinion anyway. I'm sure they'll work it out. But when there's a lot of money involved, these guys, they don't have to fight. I think that's another thing that's wrong with boxing these days. These guys don't have to fight. They have one big fight and they could probably retire they could retire on all the money they have. And then after that, it's just fighting for money after that. It's not about the hunger or the passion or giving the fans great fights. It's purely just about the money, and that's why I think we're getting the fight till we had a month ago. So anyway, we'll see what happens with Ryan. Let's hope he can get his career back on track, because he could, apart from making a lot of money, really be that face of boxing that that we're going to need once Canelo goes. But anyway, that is up to him. So guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. The fights are on today, by the way. I think they're on at 10 a.m. here. So it's about an hour and a half from now here in Australia, with Caleb Plant and the Jamal Charlo fight. I've got to say, I'm not overly excited about it, about the card, but it is free on Amazon Prime, so I will be checking it out. So guys, make sure you have a great Sunday, and we'll catch you tomorrow.